You know, I really don't understand why I'm still doing these videos if people really don't give a damn. And what I mean by that is the immaturity of what we've seen as of late in the community. And I'm not just talking about gamers in general. I'm not talking about that. No, I'm talking about the companies. And I'm talking about how people have to get, more people together, the powers that be, should we say, in order to get something to work. Also talking about how gamers, YouTubers here, acting a fool, immature. Look, I'm talking about this, right? For those who didn't know, all right, this morning has been pretty hectic when it's coming to news with gaming. But anyone who saw John Candy 45's video not too long ago with Necrostorm, he got a copyright strike not too long ago for uploading some video on Death Cargo. And apparently, the people over there at Necrostorm mistaken him for someone else. And the things that they said to him were so unprofessional, so immature, calling him a fucking fat-faced kid and that he'll never make as much money as the company will. And this is the contact manager, okay? Now, mind you, this case of mistaken identity. They think that he said something which someone else actually did, okay? But even if he did, you are a company. You don't act that way. And you sure as hell don't sit here and keep replying to him and say, I got work to do, and this is your just desserts, and this is what you deserve. You are a company. You're supposed to be professional. You are supposed to be, bigger than that, tougher than that, higher than that. You are not supposed to stoop to this type of level. I cannot believe that this happened. For those who did not see the video, I'll put the link in the info bar. It is quite disgusting to see what the contact manager, who I feel as though should be fired for acting that way, as far as I'm concerned. After seeing the way they act, and apparently they're not the only, John Candy 45 isn't the only person this has happened to, okay? Since they act that way, you don't have to ever worry about me buying any of your products. That is absolutely disgusting. Like I said, I don't care if he did it or not, which he shows proof in the video that he did not do it, but, okay, it is disgusting to see that would happen. Like I said, I'll put the link in the info bar. I want to keep talking about more immaturity. I've seen it as of late with a lot of YouTubers. A lot of race videos popping up out of nowhere. People blatantly being racist to get your views, to try and create some type of shock value so they can keep their money going. And you know what? I find it pretty pathetic. Because as far as I'm concerned, if that's what you have to do to try and make ends meet, then you really are a joke. We have seen this time and time again within this community, and I don't understand this. And this is where I get to the point where I get tired of doing this shit. Because for every YouTuber I can call out, there will be 10 other people that will, that will defend that person. It makes even if you provide the proof, they will still defend it. They will still try and justify it. It makes no sense. It's almost like they don't want to believe it themselves. Between the race stuff, I've seen people on here try to scam the community. I've seen people on here who had to sit in chairs with leaf blowers and spin in circles and try to keep your attention so that they can keep monetizing their videos. This is what they have to do, and these are from adults. This is what they have to do in order to keep you tuned in. With people like that, why do I even need to be here? For every person that says, I think that's offensive, you still follow that person, or you still watch their videos. And if you don't, then you follow somebody who advocates those videos. I don't understand it. There's too many big YouTubers here who really act a fool on here. Like I said, these are from grown men. I said, I don't understand. What is the point of me getting on camera and doing this and giving you the truth and giving you the news if all you're going to do is run over there and still watch what they do, even though you know that it's horrible. Other YouTubers have said, other gamers have said, yeah, that's a bad person. That guy's a dick. Yet you still watch him. You should know by now the best thing that you can do to hurt a YouTuber who needs this to survive. Yeah, who needs to survive. Worst thing you can do is not watch them. It hurts their money. That's why you keep screaming, oh, you need to use ad block. You need to stop using ad block. I'm sorry. That's what they say. It's ridiculous. And this is the start of things. They said, we're going to talk, this big boy talk today. This adult talk today. So if you can't handle it, you can leave right now. I'm sure already by the time that you were watching this segment of the video, somebody's already thumbed it down. That's fine. Like I said, for some reason people think that, that actually does something. It doesn't. If anything, you're just abusing the system. Because anybody knows when you thumb down a video, you're supposed to tell people why. That's what it was for. It's for feedback. But when you just abuse the system, it turns into nothing. And as we know, it's been nothing for years. We know this. However, let's start with some real news today. And I'm not going to start with E&E bullshit, but soon, okay? Let's start with internet providers. That's right. As for those who don't know, 5 big internet providers purposely slowing down access for more cash. Remember, I talked about this before and said it was illegal. And people were saying this is what happens when you not monetize it, but monopolize things. And they said, yeah, it's true. And then we saw the fight between Comcast and Netflix. And they were blaming each other back and forth about why, the service was slowed down. Well, now, all of them are doing it. They are holding you hostage, holding your bandwidth that you pay for hostage. And apparently, that's okay, because no one's really fighting about it. No one's making any complaints about it. It's amazing how if somebody acts a fool online, you can get your armies together for that. But you can't get your armies together for this. I keep telling you, if you're a child, tell your parents. Let them know. We saw what happened with Verizon when they tried to add in the camera into the into their cable boxes, and people got it was an uproar about it, and Verizon backed down. Now they're going to hold your bandwidth hostage. Not only that, EA is partnering with Comcast. That's right, EA and Comcast for game streaming. So you know what that means, right? It's amazing how the worst company in America now teams up with the worst company in America 2 times in a row, right, can still get your money. And they will get your money, because there's going to be people out there who still defend each of them. That's right. That's not all. So, let's talk about taking your money and being a fool about it, okay? 178 days in, and DICE confirms that Battlefield 4 is still broken, okay? However, Battlefield 4 server rentals are now available. So don't fix the game, but they're going to give you those servers so that you can rent them out. And we all know what's going to happen there when people get salty. We already know. All right? However, in good news, Massachusetts town overturns a 3-decade ban on arcades. So now you're allowed to make arcades or build arcades in Massachusetts, in this specific Massachusetts town. You know what that means? That means score 1 for the gamers. It's sad that for 3 decades this was going on. It goes to show you that these lawmakers have no idea, because you know how this goes. When it comes to arcades, you're going to have people who throw a bunch of stereotypes out there. Oh, there's too much trouble there. There's too much drugs being sold, or too much gang mentality. We see this with everything, if you haven't noticed. You can make a regular club, and they would say the same thing. But clubs are still around, right? Yeah, because they make too much money. Arcades, same thing. But it's sad that they had a 3-decade ban on this. But it's now lifted. I guess it's better late than never. But it shouldn't have been a big deal to begin with. However, on the gamer front, I have to say this right now. There is a guy, all right, who was on Craigslist, who was trying to trade his dog. That's right, trade his dog for a PS4. How do you trade man's best friend, a living, breathing thing? How do you trade that for a piece of plastic? For something that has a bunch of gears in it that makes your little idiot box shine. Are you serious? But that's not all. So when I looked into it more, apparently gamers had already got to him. It's good to see that gamers stepped up again, but you know what? This shouldn't have been an issue to begin with. It's sad to see that all these types of streams that we're seeing just for some video games, just for some entertainment. Seriously, you trade your dog? What the hell? Anyways, I want to keep on going because we're going to still talk about, about extremes. And I'm going to talk about how heavy metal and video games are blamed for this kid killing people. That's right, his teacher, all right? And because, he played Dark Souls and GTA, and he's wearing a shirt that says Achievement Unlocked, all of a sudden, it's because video games and heavy metal. Yet, in the article, they talk about how, he was suicidal because he was tired of being bullied. But that's just an afterthought, apparently. This guy was mentally unstable, and all you could do was blame video games and music, which has been blamed for how many years now? Okay, but that's not all. Speaking of something, for every person that tries to trash video games, there are those who use video games as well to highlight something, to bring awareness to, not just the community, but to the world in general. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, GTA, South Africa, a documentary that mashes the stylings of GTA and showing that real crime, what happens in South Africa. Let's take a look at that. the risk that those men and the harm that they put their families in for $15 a day. Are you going to tell me, YouTubers, that you still think you got it bad? Huh? Oh, don't have a lot of views. Oh, I need to monetize things. Really? Really? Why don't you try living in their shoes then? Don't sit here and complain about how you're not making money because the views aren't there anymore. Seriously. But speaking more about video games and things, for those who know, I'd said in the video before that, I had requested an interview with the president on About Media, about how they always, this negative, criticism and stigma about the video game community and how it's constantly under attack, and I wanted to talk to him about it, right? I also talked about how, that these type of things, the industry does not help us whatsoever. They don't, especially with the way they've been acting. Like I said, I talked about it earlier in the video. The way they act, the industry, it doesn't, help us look any better. Between gamers who try to, YouTubers who try to do something to make it viral and just absolutely look like idiots doing it and stereotyping us, and then you have the industry who doesn't help us at all because they all see us as just numbers. Like, none of this helps anybody. And people on the outside look at us as if we're just like the enemy. Like, we are the worst thing walking right now. And I wanted to talk about these type of things to the President of the United States, because, let's be honest here. He's got time to talk to other YouTubers on cooking shows, right? Or comedians who impersonate him. He's got time for that. So clearly, he would have time for other issues, right? Some real issues to talk about, not waste his time. However, the White House got back to me, and they declined my request. Gamers, just because they deny my request once doesn't mean it's going to stop me. I will request again and again and again, and I will keep requesting until I get what I want, as far as I'm concerned. I don't care if he comes to Philadelphia and I got to meet him somewhere and try to get him on the spot if I have to. I will get what I want. It's that simple, because it needs to be talked about. You can't keep letting this go the way it is and think there can't be any structure or any order. It has to be addressed. And you think, for a person like me, you think a bigger YouTuber would do this. Oh, wait. They're only wrapped up in their own shit. However, I want to move on, okay? Because I have some good news about Resident Evil Outbreak. It is back online. That's right. Now, I said before that gamers, were talking about bringing servers back to Resident Evil Outbreak. And the reason they were doing this is because they wanted to get Capcom's attention, to make another Resident Evil Outbreak. Well, there is an update, and they have put the servers online. So what I'll do is I will put the article in the info bar, and I will actually put the forum, that's right, to where they have done this, where you can go and contact them directly if you want to, on how to get your game to play online again for Resident Evil Outbreak. So it is up, and it is running, just to let you know, okay? Now, I want to talk about Destiny for a little bit, all right? Because for what I'm hearing, Activision spent $500 million on this game. $500 million. Okay, so Destiny multiplayer will not be available out of the box. That's right, it won't be. You will have to earn it. Also, there's talk about Destiny's max level can be reached in only a few hours. Now, for anyone who's been keeping up with Destiny, there's been talk about it being sort of like an MMO. But if this is true, and they say that it's not true, that they will have more that you can do, it almost makes it sound like they're setting you up for DLC so that you can keep doing progression patches, you know what I mean, and keep going forward. But as far as I'm concerned, they say that you can only reach it in a few hours for it to be a shooter, and a lot of people are saying it's more like Halo or an MMO. They said they want the fans to categorize it, but yet turn around and call it a shooter. I don't get this, all right? However, we'll see what happens in the future with Destiny. But the fact that it's not multiplayer out of the box, I personally don't have a problem with it. I've said this before, I have no problem with gamers having to earn their multiplayer rights. I have no problem with that, all right? But there's going to be people who are going to be very upset about this. So I want to move on, and I want to talk about Shaq Fu. That's right. I want to talk about how they hustled the community, and not just hustled the community in general at large when I mean the gaming community, but also hustled the news. They hustled everyone when it came to media, because there were larger forces at work to get this going. For those who don't know, Shaq Fu Part 2 has reached its goal. That's right, it's reached its goal, and there was something fishy about that, all right? And I said before that Shaq could afford to make this game on his own. So let's hear what the Indiegogo guys, the developers of this game, say about those, about claims.
With the new Shaq Fu, we want to revive the classic old-school beat-em-up, but for a new generation of gamers. At the core of the campaign is our desire to collaborate with the gaming community to create something truly unique that people actually want to play. We've had a lot of criticism about the idea that Shaquille O'Neal, this rich guy, is asking for other people's money to make his game. First of all, that idea is completely wrong. Yes, we could have taken the money, gone off, made the game in secret and released it, and made a bunch of profits from selling full-price copies of the game. Now that's not very interesting. What we've chosen to do instead is create an Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign to raise some money, as well as create awareness and publicity about the game.
You know, you've got to love idiocy, and I will put it like this. For those who actually pay attention to what that guy was saying, he sits here and says that people who are saying that Shaq has the money to do it, they're completely wrong. And then he says right afterwards, you know, we could have took the money, but we decided to go a different route. So you're saying that Shaq does have the money. He does, right? You just contradicted yourself. And then say, but we want, you know, to reach out to the fans and give the fans the control of what they want to play. You're trying to give the fans the power, the community the power. But people, you don't understand. The community never had the power. And I'm going to prove that today. However, I want to see first, you know, what they had to say in the comments in that video. Since, you know, he says that it was absolutely ridiculous that, you know, that Shaq could have paid for on his own, and then admits he could have right afterwards, so he contradicts himself. Let's see what they have to say now in the comments. So first you say it's ridiculous that Shaq could pay for the whole thing. Then you admit he could have paid for the whole thing. Then you're saying that he is financing majority of this. So what was the point of this? And then you say, well, it was to create awareness. What awareness? You're not creating awareness if he's paying for most of it, or your buddies are paying for most of it. It has nothing to do with the community. Like I said, I am going to prove that right now, because no Indiegogo campaign we have seen when it comes to gaming in this nature, all right, for a game that pretty much nobody remembers. And the gamers today, they sure as hell didn't play it, you know what I mean? But when it came out, it was absolutely atrocious. Are you going to tell me that it's going to hit damn near every goal that it has, and we're talking high roller goals? From $2,000 goal sellouts all the way up to $35,000 goal sellouts. This is not the work of the gaming community, especially in these large chunks, because anybody who was keeping up with this campaign, this was happening. Most of these happened over the weekend. During the final stretch of their goal, there's no way that you were going to find tens of thousands of dollars to all of a sudden throw to Shaq Fu 2, especially when it doesn't even have the fan base or following. Hell, even the mighty number 9 that had a huge following didn't even reach these marks. There is no way that this is the work of the gaming community at large. So now the question is, who is behind this? We just talked about not too long ago that you'd be lucky to get gamers to donate, what, $1,000? We just saw the Shenmue 3 Kickstarter when they asked in the poll. They wouldn't even donate $400 to $500 because gamers, that's just a steep price. Yet we are seeing tens of thousands of dollars in a short time span, mind you, short time span, being donated to this game. And what I mean by that is not crowdfunding. No, these are single donations. That's right, $10,000, $25,000, $1,000. You got $35,000 by single donators. This is not the work of the community. So who is behind this? Guess who's behind this? Quark. That's right, they're a part of this. Quark PR, for those who don't know, on Twitter, they did it since last week, I believe. I spoke about Shaq Fu 2, briefly spoke about Shaq 2, and a Quark person came in and, you know, tried to defend the game really quickly. So, over the weekend, when I looked at the donations, and I will talk about this a little bit more, because due to the fact that when I was looking at it, it had 57 hours left to reach goal, and it needed like $50,000. By Sunday came, right, it needed $20,000, which if you can raise that much money in a day, because I looked at it on Saturday, and then Sunday, it was like, wow, that game, it had a big jump in a day. Then Monday, we started noticing, it was like, look, there were 7 hours left, and they were down $20,000. So you knew what was going to happen. It was like close to $20,000. It was like $433,000, something like that, right? And I spoke about it that Monday morning. And what happened? Quark PR guys came in and tried to defend it to the end. That's right. And I said, hey, what are you doing? I'm not like, all they did was keyword Shaq Fu and find people so they can defend the game because it's part of PR. And he tried to deny that, you know, this was part of it. Really? Well, let's look at Quark's timeline on Twitter. Nothing but Shaq. Why? Because they are heavily invested in this. You want to know why? Because Quark is for digital currency. And if the microtransactions go through them, then they get money. And if you don't believe me, they try to sit here. You can ask John Candy 45 because he jumped into the conversation. We were telling him, leave us alone. Because he was like, I just want to give you guys some Quark so when the game comes out. Mind you, when the game comes out, they were still down about $20,000. When the game comes out, okay? And if you looked that morning, they said the prices were jumping up. They just kept jumping up. But the backers weren't changing. So yeah, something's questionable here. Something's going on. But like I said, they still needed $20,000 within 7 hours. Let's see if they pull this off, right? So we're telling the guy, leave us alone. We don't care about your Quark. Why are you even, why are you even a factor right now? We don't care. And he's just trying to give us free Quark the whole time. And Johnny Candy was like, yo, pretty much fuck off. What's your problem? And what do? He started following John Candy 45. Stalking people on Twitter to PR the game. This is what their campaign, their so-called crowdfunding, because the gamers were supposed to be involved, this is what you've resorted to. You understand it? And if anybody needs more proof on just how involved Quark is, let's look at their Facebook page. On their Facebook page, nothing but Shaq Fu 2. Matter of fact, they're urging people to push that, that final push to donate more Quark. Not only that, but they even have their own in-game item, branded item for the game. And after that, we all started taking a closer look at the backers in this campaign. Quark, Quark, and more Quark. And the thing is, if it's private, you can't tell how much they donated. Alright, so if you keep it private, it must have been a big sum. On top of the also anonymous donations. But of course, you can't check the name, but you can see the money. But that's not all. Other people started picking up on the scent, and on GoNintendo.com, an interesting comparison between Colt County and Shaq Fu crowdsourced fund efforts. As it states, there are some metrics for you. The failed Colt County Kickstarter had almost the same number of backers as Shaq Fu. It says, only difference was the average of Colt County backer level was only $30 per. It says Colt County's backer distribution looks much more normal. High-end tiers all untaken, lots of backers at entry-level tiers. It says, unlike Shaq Fu, which, again, mysteriously nailed all of the top tiers except for the 4,000 one they just added today, it says 1,000 people put in for Colt County at $15, cheapest price for in-game. 158 put in for $15 on Shaq Fu. So out of 1,000 plus, only 158 put in for that's entry level, $15. Okay, but that's not all, because we're going to get into it. Then we saw the actual goal within those 7 hours jumped up like that. Someone put in that extra $20,000. So let's look at that. When Shaq Fu all of a sudden gained that extra $20,000, there were only two current backers. One at $55 and the other one at private. So that should tell you exactly where the money came from. Joe Winner. But when you click on Joe Winner's name, up comes Matthew Karch. For those who do not know who Matthew Karch is, he is the president and CEO of Saber Interactive. The very same Saber Interactive that is leading Big D's who are developing the game, or helping the game, get made. So what did we learn today? Seriously, what did we learn? It goes to show you that they tried to hustle the community. Well, they did hustle the community. And what I mean by hustle is, they gave you the illusion that you actually made a difference, that you had a chance to change things. Because, as we see with the totals, if it was up to the gamers, this wouldn't have made it by a long shot. This was done by Quark and apparently a lot of rich backers. Why did the CEO all of a sudden put in all this money to make sure he got over the hump? Because think about it. Would you rather take $20,000 of your own money and take a hit, which you can probably get later down the line? Because these are donations, people, all right? Or would you rather give back $433,000? You see what I mean? They weren't going to let this go. Quark has too much invested. All these backers have too much invested. These big rich backers have too much invested. This had nothing to do with the gaming community. And yet, even CNBC said, well, crowdfunding's latest, celebrity success. So they're going to try and make it as though this was really something that the community was in for. Gamers did not want this game. But I'm sure there are some who did. But understand that those gamers got taken for their money as well. Nobody had anything, when it comes to the gaming community, had to do with this. This was all business, all companies, all over again. That just gave you the illusion. And it's sad, because within all this, they talk about all the great things that Shaq does, especially with that Quark. I put it like this. if you go back now, because the success is over, it's a success, the campaign is done, and Quark, I'll put in the info bar, they even wrote, congratulations to Shaq Fu too. I went back on Twitter today to see if that guy, that Quark Press or whatever, was still, trying to sell people on the idea. This is what happened. For a campaign that was supposed to be about community and getting together and making a change, they sure as hell had a lot of PR, to try and push this game. It was for, spreading awareness. Look how you spread awareness. That was horrible. You stalk people online. That's not how you spread awareness, man. And that's not good word of mouth either. You don't even have to worry about me buying this game. I guarantee you don't have to, all right? Besides, the last Shaq Fu kind of left a bad taste in everyone's mouth as it was. People didn't want it. However, with all these people trying to talk all this positive stuff about Shaq, people do understand that on the night that Donald Sterling, when Shaq gave his, his opinions on how Donald Sterling, what do you do about him, it's absolutely immature, and, there's no way he should own a team. Shaq went out on Twitter, on his Instagram actually, and made fun of a guy who has a disability that his condition makes him lose teeth and his hair. Yet there was no backlash for that, and I'm sure Shaq has already apologized for that, right? It's okay. So let's move on, because I want to talk about more Kickstarter news, because Bob's Game is now on Kickstarter, and I will put it like this. For those who don't remember Bob's Game, this was the guy who was so mad at Nintendo because he didn't get the SDKs. They locked himself in his room. He even had a 100-day protest. I think he only made it like day 30 or something like that. And he said a lot of nasty things about Nintendo. And we'll talk about this right now. It says, according to an article from The Escapist, Poloni was directed to Nintendo to talk to the Wario World division, where they directed him back to marketing directed him back to the Wario World division. They were giving him a runaround, okay? It says, Nintendo told him that they would inform him of their decision to grant him an SDK for the game between 6 and 8 weeks. No response came from Nintendo. After 17 weeks of trying to, and failing to get Nintendo to provide Poloni with the SDK, on December 11, 2008, he decided to publicly protest to Nintendo by locking himself in his room for 100 days or until they provide him with the SDK, whichever came first. First off, that is immature as hell, okay? But let's keep going. It says, according to Owen Good from Kotaku, it says he staged a protest in an effort to gain publicity by making Nintendo look like a corporate bully beating down on an indie game developer. It says his room had no internet access save for broadcasting a live feed from his room via webcam, it says, or television, and had only a mobile phone in which he could make calls and send emails and the materials he needed to work on games. Poloni made the following comment when he decided to protest. It says, I cannot leave this Viridian room. It says the door is locked and barricaded from the outside. I am sleeping behind the camera, and yes, I've got a shower. It says food is delivered once a week by a friend. This is my 100-day protest to Nintendo. What does this gain you? Okay, because Nintendo doesn't care. But however, it says, this protest garnered popularity, which shouldn't, all right? It says, from various internet forums and websites. It says, the 21-day... On the 21st day of his protest in December 31st, 2008, Poloni started to release addresses of Nintendo executives and send Nintendo of America president Reggie Fils-Aime's holiday greetings. He also threatened Nintendo by bundling the gamer as a killer app using the Nintendo DSi homebrew device. He also said that he was currently translating the game into several languages, planning to release the game worldwide as a part of an effort to significantly cut into Nintendo's bottom line. This is according to Chris Greenberg from Joystick. He had contact with the Chinese firm to release of Bob's Game on a flash cartridge, and that he was negotiating with Walmart to distribute his game. It says he also threatened to get the game released on other distribution platforms, including Xbox Live Arcade, Steam, and iPhone and PlayStation Network. On January 6th, he sent another message declaring that he was better than Miyamoto, Ito, Kojima, and Carmack and Will Wright combined, slamming all of them and saying that he has bested all of them by far. Though he apologized for his comments 2 days later, he made another threat, which according to Andy Chalk in the Escapist article, he would exact a horrific vengeance if the company continued to deny him of SDK. It says at this point he started to complain about paranoia and having persistent headaches. People, don't give this man money. That's the last thing you want. Why would you want to give a man money who has to act this way for an SDK? You have to be kidding me. That's just absolutely ridiculous. There's no reason why you should protest and starve yourself and sit in a room and thinking that a big company is going to take notice. It can get a buzz on the internet because it's drama, because that's what people like these days, drama. But it doesn't mean that it's going to help your cause. It makes you look like a lunatic. And now his game is on Kickstarter. This is ridiculous. All right? Speaking of Nintendo Mario Golf Season Pass. It was only a matter of time before Nintendo decided to go this route with the Season Passes. I'm very disappointed in Nintendo, but I can understand why, since all of them are doing the same thing over and over and over again. Everyone's just following each other. Everyone copies each other. And then their fanboys point and say, hey, this isn't original, you did this, and it's the same thing over and over again. It makes no sense. Nintendo should be ashamed of themselves for taking this move. They should, but you know they're not going to. Anyways, speaking of more gaming, Lionsgate Entertainment is getting into the game business. I'm done with that already. Kevin Spacey's performance in Call of Duty Advanced Warfighter has generated buzz. That's funny, because a lot of people were talking about Kevin Spacey's performance, but it seems like nobody was talking about in Call of Duty Black Ops, right? Because Gary Oldman was really good in Call of Duty Black Ops. But it seems like this is the big thing that, you know, everyone's on right now. And also, for, Call of Duty Advanced Warfighter, the riffs of it from other movies and games. I will put the link in the info bar so you can see exactly what they're copying from, okay? Also, here's something that's actually pretty disgraceful. Hip-hop RPG. That's right. Idols and role models are being pushed. They have their own RPG now. Kendrick Lamar and all these people. You've got to be kidding me. This is just something to try to keep you, you know, into the limelight with these so-called, you know, musicians. That's what this is. And keep them in the forefront. If you haven't understand, it's just another way of trying to get you to listen to their music and to keep that music industry going and that entertainment industry going. That's what it is. They're starting to all connect. Acting, voice acting. You're getting big names now through voice acting video games. Now you're making video games of rappers. Like, come on. If you can't see this, then there's something wrong with you. Fanmade Xbox One UI gets MS's attention. I'm shocked. I've said this before. I said time and time again. No matter what the company does, gamers, if they pour their heart into it, will make it 10 times better. And now the company is taking some interest in what they're doing. Microsoft needs all the help it can get right now anyway, because there was a report not too long ago that they were talking about stop production on Xbox Ones because they have so many still in stock. There's no point of producing them. No point. So, in other news, Injustice Gods Among Us 2 has been quietly announced. Yes, very quietly. Arcana Heart 3 Love Max is coming to North America this fall. So, fighting games fans, I'm sure you're going to love that. Also, some fan mail real quick. Hey, Event, I recently started a petition a few months ago for an Onimusha HD collection. Now, I was wondering if you could possibly mention it in your next gaming video. I set the goal for 1,000 signatures. However, I did mention that I may extend the amount as a stretch goal. It says, now that it's also possible that a reboot may be on the way, nothing is official, but it has been rumored, so an HD collection would be made regardless, and this petition could be left as is. It says, I know that right now might not be the best time considering all things have been going on in the community. This isn't really important, and it's Capcom here we're talking about. So I completely understand if you choose not to mention this in your next gaming video. I will put the petition in the info bar, and I will, the article for Onimusha and Dino Crisis, the links for it, the reboots apparently, or what they're going to do with it, will be in the info bar as well. Understand, people, this has been a very jam-packed video. I've been trying to push it out as fast as possible. I'm pretty disappointed to see how people think that this is some type of victory with Shaq Fu. This is the big thing that's really bothering me today is with Shaq Fu, because it was a hustle, and we know that gamers didn't really fall for it. It's good to see the community didn't fall for it, but the company had to pull the trigger and make sure that it went, you know, the way it did. But for all the lies that they've told you, why would you even trust them? All they did was spin things all day. It is disgusting to see that, oh, Shaq doesn't have the money, that's ridiculous. Hey, wait a minute, he is, you know, he's financing most of it. And then you see all these donations. It's sad. I think it's pathetic that this is what they had to do, but I also find it pathetic that the PR for this actually turned people away more than, it hurt more than helped. But this is what they do, right? And now they're gone, they got their money, they used some gamers because they were foolish enough to give them money, and then the rest is all company and big guys, you know, connection guys that they already knew. Already. It's sad. But in the end of the day, I really hope that, I mean, if gamers really want to get back, I mean, personally, I'd say don't buy it and see if it sells. I mean, seriously, he's going to, like I said, he's going to put in $20,000. I'm sure they can make that back, you know, with people who buy the game. You know? We'll see what happens. But as far as I'm concerned, once again, another scam has been caught. You know, that's how I see it. It's a scam. Because they didn't rely on the community like they said they would. And then when people accuse them of using their own money, or Shaq could pay for it himself, I said, no, that's not true. Just to find out it is true. Why give money to people who lie to you?